Hey guys, today we are making chicken pot pie. What I have right here is one chicken breast and some sea salt in a pot of water. To this mixture, I'm going to add celery, that's already diced celery. I try to keep some frozen and on hand at all times. 1 big teaspoon of minced garlic, carrots, and this is about 3 whole carrots that I'm throwing in here now. And I'm also going to throw in a few more spices that I like. There's basil, and that's about a half a teaspoon. A little bit of, and I mean very little, chopped bay leaves. About a half a teaspoon of Mexican oregano. And also some celery seeds, just for added celery flavor. Okay, to this I will also be adding onion, and then I will get this pot to boiling. This is going to be our chicken. While the chicken is boiling, I will be getting my crust together. Also, since I'm using chicken breast, I like to throw in chicken bouillon cubes. And I'm putting in about 4 cubes. And the reason why I always do this is because chicken is not going to give you as much flavor. Chicken breast is not going to give you as much flavor as, say, some dark meat of the chicken. So, since I'm not getting all that flavor and fat, I'm going to throw in my bouillon cubes. Okay, so let me go ahead and throw in my onion, get this to boiling, and we'll be back. Okay, guys, now my chicken is ready. As you can see, my vegetables are nice and tender. My chicken is cooked all the way through. Now I am going to pour all of this chicken and broth and all the goodies into a separate bowl. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to use the same pot to make the sauce that will be in my chicken pot pie. So just one moment, I'll go ahead and get this transferred, and I'll be back to tell you how to make your basic sauce. Okay guys, so we're back. I have emptied the pot. You see I left just a little onion. I'm trying to make this a one pot dish if at all possible. And I'll be moving back and forth whenever the steam gets to it. So this is how you know that my butter is hot, nice and melted. I have 4 tablespoons of butter in here, and I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour and stir. Okay. And I'm trying to do this while I hold the camera, so I apologize if I don't get away from the steam enough. Okay. And whenever you're doing this, you're going to do 4 tablespoons. If you're doing 4 tablespoons of butter, then you need to be doing 4 tablespoons of flour. Your butter and your flour mixture should always match. Okay, now you see how it's starting to look a little doughy. And I'm going to move around a little bit. I should have grabbed myself a ladle. Because I'm going to be doing about 1.5 cups. And if you want more, you can always use more of chicken broth. Okay? And I'm stalling for my ladle until my daughter comes back with it. So I'm going to just add a little bit of chicken broth for now. But at this stage, this is where you're going to add your chicken broth. You're also going to add your milk. And for the milk, since I'm doing the 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of flour, I'm going to use about 1/2 cup of milk and then judge. So let's see here. And you want to do this over the burner. I'm not doing it over the burner right now because I have more light in this area at this time. But normally this is where you would be. Pour the milk. Alright, so I'm going to let this cook just a little bit because like I said, I really need to be on my stove. And I'm doing a half a cup at a time. In the end, you're going to end up with 1.5 cups of milk for this recipe. And then when I come back, I will add my chicken broth. Okay guys, so I am 1 cup in on my milk, and this is what the consistency looks like. Woo. If I was just going to make a white cream gravy or something, I would just go ahead and add another cup of milk and be done with it. But we're not. We're making the sauce that goes on in the chicken pot pie. So 1 cup of milk in here. Now we're going to add a half a cup of chicken broth. And we're going to stir, stir, stir. Lots of stirring and lots of steam. Okay. And you're just going to stir until all your lumps are all gone. And we have at this point, we'll just start seasoning. And this is before we put in our onions and our peas and our carrots. So we're just going to go in. You can put in whatever seasonings you like to put in. I'm going to, of course, put in a little bit more garlic. And I'll be throwing in your basics like some sea salt, maybe a little pepper. And you can always put in onions and bell peppers at this stage. I'm sorry, onions and garlic at the butter and flour stage. But I kind of like it here at this level. So I'm going to get up a little bit higher to try to avoid some of this steam. But see the nice creamy sauce you have here is like a cream of chicken soup almost, just because you've thrown in that good old broth. And you can make this any kind of way that you want. I mean, you can use it for anything. You could throw chicken in here and have smothered chicken. And this is my sea salt going in. And then I'm going to put in some fresh ground black pepper. Like literally just ground in my moquillete. Righty. And I've got all this together. So at this point, I can just go ahead and start adding all of my veggies. Now, I have my potatoes boiling right now. So that'll be the last vegetable I add. But first, I'm going to go ahead and chunk in the chicken. And remember the chicken from the beginning of the video. And I only used 1 chicken breast for this dish, because I'm trying to make it to where it's one of those budget-friendly meals. Because Lord knows we need those. And see, if it gets to be to where it's too thick and you need more juice, you can always add more broth as you need it. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything put in here together. And then I'll be back. Okay guys, so I have rolled out the bottom layer of my crust. Bottom layers of crust is totally not necessary. Normally I only do a crust on the top, but because that little ball of dough makes so much crust and I really don't want to save it, I'm just going to use it all up and throw just a little layer on the bottom. So now it is time. All of my ingredients are put together. And I'm going to have my daughters come over and pour it in for me while I hold the camera. But this is what it looks like. Oh, and I'm going to back up a little bit. So then you're just going to pour in your insides and then just spread it out all the way around, nice and evenly. Okay, and now, like I said, a bottom crust is not necessary, but if you do a bottom crust, poke holes in it, let it bake in the oven for a little bit. That way you'll know that your crust is cooked all the way through. And the way you're going to do that, you'll do it at 350 degrees for about 5 to 7 minutes, and it doesn't have to brown or anything like that. It's just going to cook it partially so that when you cook it the last time, it'll be perfect. Now, all I have to do is throw on some type of topping. So I'm going to throw together a little bit of crust and lay it across the top. And I'll bake it in the oven, and then I will show you the finished product.